A lot of people liked the show Designing Women. That being said, there was another star on the show who was even more famously huge. We're going to talk about Delta Burke. At the time, she was one of the most potential TV stars. A lot of people really liked Suzanne Sugarbaker in Designing Women. Fans of the show loved Suzanne because she was funny and had a wild personality. That made a big impact on people who watched that show. Burke became a well-known name in the 1980s and 1990s because of this. Fans knew a lot about her, but not everything. It's not just who Delta Burke is that makes up her life. When compared to her role on the show, her life was not at all happy and perfect. She had personal problems and problems at work. This is what the video for today is going to be about. What really happened to Delta Burke in her story that no one knows. Now let's begin. Burke was born in Orlando, Florida, on July 30th, 1956. She had only one mother who raised her. In the end, her mother, Jean, married Frederick Burke, a real estate agent from Orlando. Frederick was a nice person, and he took Delta in. You might be shocked to learn that Delta doesn't know who her real dad is. That seems to show a very interesting but sad side of her life. Jean and Frederick have 3 kids. Delta is the oldest. Jonathan is her younger brother, and Jennifer is her little sister. Delta was a bright student who had a lot of promise from the start. She went to Colonial High School and finished in 1974. When she was still there, her classmates told her she was the most likely to do well. That was pretty clear. Not only was she smart, but she also won a beauty show put on by the Orlando Fire Department in 1972. She was crowned Miss Flame. But Delta didn't stop there, and she wanted more. She then went on to represent the whole state and win the title of State Miss Flame. Pretty cool, right? Now wait until you hear more about her in the next parts of this video. But the things we talked about earlier aren't her best accomplishments. The most important and best one was near the end of her senior year of high school. Delta went on to win 1974 Miss Florida. That was her most important accomplishment. That day she wrote history. Delta, who is only 18, is the youngest woman in history to hold that title. She also had a lot of great chances come her way after she won Miss Florida. A grant was given to her by the Miss America group. It was possible for her to go to the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art thanks to this grant. Getting into this school changed the course of her whole journey. She won the 1974 Miss Florida pageant and then went on to be on the famous ABC show Bozo the Clown. Bozo the Clown was shot in Orlando, where she grew up. She was also in the World Football League Bowl in 1974, which was a big year for her. There, Louis Weiss took a picture of her as Miss Florida. After that, the clip was first shown in an episode of the 2001 show Lost Treasures of NFL Films. Fans were taken back to when Delta was a young star on the rise, and now she is making a big splash on TV. It was with The Chisholms, a CBS Western drama. Belle Sue Chisholm was played by Delta. After that, she became known for her comedic skills when she played Kathleen Beck on the TV show Filthy Rich. Kathleen was the role of a young widow who is smart and wants to succeed. It came out in 1982. After that, from 1984 to 1986, she was on the show First and 10th as Diane Barrow, the owner of a football team. She is a very versatile and talented actress who can take on any part she is given. These roles are very important to her acting career because they shaped it. Delta Burke had just landed a part in 1986 that would mark her forever in the world of TV. What Suzanne Sugarbaker does on the CBS show Designing Women. 2 things made her worthy of this part. To begin, she was a wonderful performer. Second, she had to make the tough decision to quit the show she was working on at the time. First and 10, the show. Making the show Designing Women was Linda Bloodworth Thomason. She had worked with Delta before on the show Filthy Rich. The comedy show Filthy Rich was about 4 women in Atlanta who run an interior design business. Burke was one of the main characters. Delta and Dixie Carter were both there. Dixie got the lead part in Designing Women as well. Fans loved Designing Women, but that wasn't the case when the show first aired. Things didn't go well at first. The numbers for the first season were so bad that the show was temporarily canceled. When it paired up with another show, Murphy Brown, in 1989, things changed for the show. It then became famous. Burke got a lot of praise and became a big star. Fans really liked her as Suzanne Sugarbaker and she was nominated twice in a row for the Primetime Emmy Award for Lead Actress in a Comedy Show. Other show leads for women never went this far. Burke was the only person who had this award before. This didn't mean that the other women on the show did badly. Alice Ghostley was one of the actors who played Bernice Clifton on the show a lot. She was nominated for a Supporting Actress Award in 1992. It was strange that Burke quit the show so quickly, even though she was a big hit on it. Delta Burke, who played Suzanne Sugarbaker on the show for 5 seasons and was 67 years old at the time, talked about her sudden exit from the show after more than a decade. People thought she quit because she didn't agree with Linda Bloodworth Thomason, who created the show. When she did so in 1991, she remembers that Linda and her husband Harry Thompson hurt her mentally in a number of ways. Things turned out to be very bad. But before she finally left, Burke had also thought about leaving the show before. Let's talk about that. Burke was thrilled when she first joined the show. She loved her part on the show and all of her co-stars. Things began to change behind the scenes as time went on. She gave a hint, but she hasn't said much about it. This, along with the stress and pressure she brought, was too much to handle. Burke says she would have liked to leave but wasn't able to. As for Delta's connection with Linda, the creator of Beautiful Women, Burke remembers that it was a mix of respect, admiration, and anger. They already worked together, as you know. No matter what, and Linda had a love-hate connection. The mean things people said about her weight were another big reason she left. Burke was weak in this way, and she admits that she didn't know how to handle the mean things people were saying about her because she had gained weight. People said terrible things about Burke, like that she was pregnant, and in one case, a fan grabbed her coat and said something horrible. "Check out how fat you are." That's what he said. This is enough to break anyone. Burke had to deal with that all the time from her friends, who often told her she looked bad for getting fat. She knew how to take criticism, but this was too much for her. Burke remembers that her mood changed a lot when things got tough on set. When she thinks back on her time in Hollywood, she says that at first, she wanted to be popular and get as much attention as possible. Though after all the bad things, that changed. She says she wished she could go back in time and do everything again before things got bad. It was so bad that Burke had to go to the hospital because he was having a breakdown. In this case, she had already won the Emmy nods. The thrill of being nominated outweighed the stress she was under.